Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Joey. Welcome back to another video here on my channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys 3 meta builds for Baruuk. Now this is going to consist of 1 build for the frame itself, and then it's going to consist of 2 Desert Wind Prime builds. So before I get into that, I just want to say I may sound a little funny right now. I do have a bit of a cold, but I made a promise yesterday that I would put this video out today, so here I am fulfilling the promise. I built this yesterday, so it wasn't that straining. I just got to get on here and record the video for you guys. So pretty much what we have here is I just want to talk shards. I have 1 casting speed. You can go for like CD or whatever you want in here. It's totally up to you. I would just definitely recommend at least 1 casting, or like run like Matter Eye, but then you can't because you don't have Naramon. So like you have to kind of figure it out. But for me, 1 casting, and then maybe you can go like 4 crits, and that would work just fine. So as far as the Baruuk build goes, this is the build I have for you guys today. What we go for here is we go for Steel Charge. This is going to give us flat melee damage increase. We have Primed Sure-Footed. This is going to stop us from getting knocked down. We have we have Stretch, 45% ability range. This is all the range we're getting. We have Fleeting Expertise for plus efficiency and minus duration. We want negative duration on this build, and I'll explain why after I'm done explaining the build itself. So we run Fleeting Expertise along with Transient. This drops us down to 13% duration. And then we have Precision Intensify on here to further bolster the amount of status chance we're getting on the ult from Serene Storm, or from Reactive Storm. And then we have Redirection on here for shield capacity, as this gets 10% damage reduction per dagger. You get up to 20, so as long as you have 9 daggers, you hit the max of 90% damage reduction. So you're going to be taking a ton of shield damage. It's going to make A's proc all the time, so this is pretty much your survivability right here. Then we have Rage for flat strength, and then efficiency doesn't really matter. But we do go for Fleeting Expertise, which is going to make it help a bit, but the ult actually doesn't eat any of your energy. It goes off your passive, which I will explain. Yeah, and then we have Energy Nexus right here. So like I was saying, this doesn't use energy, so this will actually work while you're in your 4th ability, so this will constantly regen energy for you. And then the augment we go for here is Reactive Storm. This is Serene Storm's augment. Desert Wind is granted 250% status chance, and this scales with power strength and changes its damage type to match the enemy's weakness. So you actually don't have to mod your Serene Storm for anything in specific, like for faction-wise, because this mod will make sure you're always using the best element against that faction, which is really, really nice. You can see with the amount of strength that we have, we have 860% status chance. Now you may think that's a bit overkill, but the melee weapon itself actually only has 15% status chance. So all this extra status chance without any weeping stacking is only getting us about to like 140% status chance. But it's a very solid number regardless, so we decided to go for it here. Also, it will give you damage reduction too. It's just a nice thing to have. And the passive is that you have this sort of, I'll show you here. It's like called Restraint. You can see it in the bottom right. So the way we go about using Restraint is when you use something like your 3rd ability and a dagger seeks, it will eat some Restraint. Now, the less Restraint you have, like the less of the white bar that's filled up, the longer you're going to be able to use your ult and things like that for. So I was saying we go negative duration. The reason we go for that is because the 2nd ability will actually remove the most restraint. You can see how much it removes, but it's actually an ability that's not recastable. So you can see with the negative duration build, it lasts less than 1 second. So you can actually recast it constantly, and you never really have to worry about getting restraint. So you can just see that, and you can see how really how easy it is. You just walk up, you press your 2, and then all the restraint drops, and you can do this to like all the packs of enemies on the map. So really, really solid. Now that I've explained the passive, I'm going to go over the Desert Wind build. What I have for you guys here is obviously Serene Storm is the only stance you can use. I'm using Discipline's Merit, but I honestly, the heavy attack doesn't seem like it's too great. It's just like a kick on the ground. Will knock them up, which is cool, but you don't really need it for a build like this. We have Conditioned Overload on here, Galv Steel, this is CCCD. We have Electric, Blood Rush for CC stacking, as this weapon actually has very respectable CC at 35%. You can see the status chance is, actually without, you can't see the status chance because I have the mod on, but yeah, it's only about 15%, 35% on the critical chance, so you can see that. Now what we have here after that is we have Blood Rush, like I said, Prime Fury, we have Organ Shatter. You can go for Amalgam here if you want to, but for me, regular Organ Shatter feels fine. I have Galvanized Elementalist here. This is for status damage plus status chance, since we're going to be using, dot-based builds like melee influence and melee afflictions, things like that. So this is going to come in handy. And then we have our Bane, so we can double dip, which is going to be really, really good for our damage output overall. Now, if you guys don't want the Bane here, I guess you could just go for maybe more crit on here, like put Glad Might here, maybe. Something like that, but for me, I'm just going to stick with the Bane. The Bane's going to make you do more damage than anything else will. So I'm sticking with the Bane. And then, like I said, we have melee influence on here. Now I have flat electric on here. Now what I was saying about the augment is the augment is going to make the weapon deal the elemental type that the enemies that you're hitting are weak to. So you'll see here, I'm going to get my restraint down a little bit. Now I'm just going to hop in my fourth ability. Now if I melee, you can see that it does corrosive damage. I don't have any corrosive modded on this. That is the augment. And you can see how well it works. So we mod it for raw electricity. And then since we have it modded for raw electricity, we're going to be able to proc electric, which means we're going to get influence. And then we can just do things like that. Now, another important thing about this weapon is you could get close like this and attack through, as this weapon has 100% follow through and infinite punch through for up to 20 meters. So you can see here, this enemy is 20 meters away from me, and I still hit him. So you don't actually even need a range mod on this, because you get the base 20 meter extended range anyway. If you want to put range mod on this for like the actual base attack itself, you can. But you can just see that like you can range with this really easily. You could just be running through maps, and then like you can see just like one swing, and it deletes them all. You can see my restraints going back up. I just jump back in the middle, drop the restraint again, and I can put my 3 back up, and then I can show you here too how they look when they're unpaused. So when they're unpaused, this is kind of like an idea of what your survivability looks like. You can see we already have Aegis procced up. I'm kind of just going to hang out in the middle here, make sure I have my 3 up, drop my restraint meter a little bit. And you can see they're shooting my Panzer a bit right now, but I'm also here. So if they decide to shoot at me, I also armor strip them. Or disarm them, disarm them. You can see I dropped down to 5 there. Now you can just use things like an auger mod, try to get yourself back up. And you're, like I said too, you're going to be killing the entire time too. So you're not just going to be sitting there taking damage like that, but this is definitely more than enough survivability to be able to sustain shit like this. Like you can see now we got Aegis up again, now we're safe. So this is just like a really basic Baruuk build that I really like. Now I have one more Desert Wind build for you guys. This build is the melee Afflictions. Now this one is actually very fun. What I decided to go for here is I go for flat heat. Now what I have on here is I have Blood Rush, I have Gallop Steel for CC plus CD, I have flat heat, Condition Overload, my Bane, Organ Shatter, status damage plus status chance, and then I have attack speed on here to make my attack a little bit faster, plus the Tennokai mod. Now we use the same exact Baruuk build here. We don't need to change anything. Everything's still exactly the same. You're still going to get that weak point value, but what we actually can do as well here is you'll be able to see that, let me get my restraint down a little bit. The attack will knock them over, therefore proccing, you can see like 4.3 million, proccing, extra heat stacks from melee Afflictions. So this is definitely an option if you're looking to use melee Afflictions. For me, that melee influence build does a whole lot, and I don't really think you need to use anything else if you're using that kind of melee influence build. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, like where you can knock enemies down and you can buff the stacks on them, then this is still a really solid build as well. But like I said, for me, if I'm using Baruuk, I'm probably just going to go with the influence because it gets the best results. But you can still see the amount of damage that this weapon will dish out. It's really solid. So you don't need to exactly go for influence if you don't want to. You can do this with anything you want. Now these enemies are actually like kind of weak too. If these guys were like, let's see if I can spawn in some Dedicants here. Maybe we can actually get like some prolonged ticking here. Like you can see now, like that guy's got 21 stacks on him and he's ticking. This is an attenuated enemy ticking for 136k, 173k, with 1 attack. The whole thing with attenuation is you want to kill them fast, but also you could do it with less attacks like this. So they're not actually going to become attenuated as quickly. And you could just see, you knock them down, you get big stacks. You don't even need that many stacks of heat to actually deal millions of damage with this, but it definitely works. So I just wanted to come in and show you guys these 2 Desert Wind builds and the Baruuk build I would be using if I decided to hop on Baruuk. So let me know what you guys think down below. Please leave a like, please subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.